Get ready to uncover the biggest mystery of the century as Elon Musk and his team stumble upon a massive, enigmatic object in Antarctica. You all know Elon Musk, the man who's hell-bent on colonizing Mars. But have you heard about his latest venture? That's right, brace yourselves for this one. He's now exploring Antarctica. And no, he's not on some polar vacation. In fact, he stumbled upon something incredibly intriguing, a massive, miles-long object moving across the frozen tundra. So, what could it be? An alien spaceship? A secret military project? A lost city buried beneath the ice? Keep on watching to find out. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into Elon Musk's latest adventure in Antarctica and explore the massive, mysterious object he and his team spotted. Let's begin. The discovery of the mysterious, massive object in Antarctica has left scientists scratching their heads, and for good reason. At first glance, the object appeared to be nothing more than a large, partially iced-over iceberg. But as it began to move and the ice melted, it became clear that this was something entirely different. What could it be? That's the million-dollar question that has everyone intrigued. As research into the object progressed, scientists' perceptions of it began to shift, and they all came up with different theories. The mystery surrounding this object is so captivating that scientists have been working tirelessly to unravel it. Interestingly, this isn't the first time strange things have been found in Antarctica. In 2022, scientists stumbled upon an entire ecosystem thriving beneath the icy ground of the continent. While studying the continent, they discovered a dent in the satellite image of the Larsen Ice Shelf. Upon drilling a hole in the ice, they found something beyond incredible, a vast ecosystem of microorganisms living below the surface. This massive subterranean habitat was filled with thousands of tiny crustaceans known as amphipods living 500 meters below the surface. Who would have thought that Antarctica, the land of ice and snow, would be teeming with such life? But it's not just the discovery of microorganisms and phytoplankton blooms that has astounded scientists. A few years ago, a team of scientists aboard an icebreaker ship stumbled upon an astonishing sight in the Weddell Sea. They came across an impressive horde of about 60 million icefish nests, each with a protective parent fish keeping a close watch. The nests were about 10 inches apart, and the massive clusters stretched across an area of around 93 square kilometers. Also, did you know that there's a mountain range hidden deep beneath the ice that's named after a Russian scientist? The Gamburtsev Mountains span an incredible 1,200 kilometers and tower over 3,000 meters high. That's roughly 1/3 the size of Mount Everest. But here's the catch. Researchers have yet to physically lay their eyes on these underground giants. Their existence was discovered through magnetic and gravitational readings obtained from earlier research dating back as far as 1958. While scientists have been able to study the mountains from their base, they still haven't uncovered how or why they were formed. And to make things even more baffling, there are no signs of tectonic plate movement in the region. In fact, beneath the ice sheets in Antarctica exist the Gamburtsev Mountains, a range that spans a whopping 1,200 kilometers and towers at a height of 3,000 meters. That's 1/3 of the size of Mount Everest. What's more, researchers have yet to physically lay their eyes on these underground giants. Their existence was discovered through magnetic and gravitational readings obtained from greater research dating back as far as 1958. While scientists have been able to study the mountains from their base, they still have not uncovered how or why they're formed. And they're baffled by their continued existence, as there are no signs of tectonic plate movement in the region. Another fascinating discovery is the presence of a dry valley in Antarctica. As difficult as it might be to believe, there is a desert in Antarctica, accounting for only 0.2% of the continent's surface area, but it's incredibly massive. Rainfall is incredibly sparse, and it even has massive sand dunes as high as 70 meters. The most exciting part is that these dunes move on average 1.5 meters per year. But wait, it gets even weirder. Antarctica also boasts an underground river, and not just any river, but a massive one over 300 miles long. Scientists discovered it using ice-penetrating radar equipment mounted on aircraft. If the region that contains the river melts due to climate change, it could raise global sea levels by a staggering 14 feet with potentially catastrophic consequences. But that's not all. Antarctica's Thwaites Glacier, ominously nicknamed the Doomsday Glacier, is in peril. Researchers have revealed that the glacier is barely attached to its cement. It's like an upside-down wrecking ball hanging by a thread. If it detaches completely, there will be a rapid movement that could increase the rate of ice loss across the continent and potentially submerge many parts of the world. Such discovery is the presence of a dry valley in Antarctica, which is nothing short of a miracle in itself. It might be hard to believe, but there is a desert in Antarctica that covers only 0.2% of the continent's surface area, but it has massive sand dunes as high as 70 meters. What's even more fascinating is that these sand dunes move on average 1.5 meters per year. Antarctica also boasts a river, and not just any river, an underground one. Scientists discovered it using ice-penetrating radar equipment mounted on aircraft, and it turned out to be over 300 miles long, longer than the River Thames in England. While an underground river may not sound like a big deal, the fact that the region containing the river could melt due to climate change is a cause for concern. If it melts, it could raise global sea levels by a staggering 14 feet, which could have catastrophic consequences for the world. Scientists have even found parallel grooves on the sea floor surrounding the glacier, left behind from its last movement, which could have occurred centuries ago, but it's still moving, whether we notice it or not. As we delve deeper into the vast and mysterious terrain of Antarctica, we stumble upon yet another mind-boggling discovery: a massive hole that stretches over an area as vast as the country of Ireland. These openings, known as polynyas, are not uncommon in the frigid waters of the polar regions. However, this particular one, which first appeared in 2017, has grown in size exponentially, spanning over 70,000 square kilometers. The scientific community has been baffled by this peculiar phenomenon, and several theories have been proposed to explain its formation. Some argue that it's the result of warm water surges brought about by ocean currents that erode the ice shelf surface, while others contend that it could be due to the presence of marine mammals below the icy forest, who might have carved out these holes to access air. But what is the connection between this massive hole and the enigmatic object that Elon Musk and his team discovered? Initially, it was assumed that the object was an iceberg, which seemed to be the most logical explanation given that Antarctica is predominantly made up of ice formations. Moreover, the world's giant iceberg, A76A, had recently broken away from the Ron ice shelf, measuring a staggering 84 miles in length and 16 miles wide. It drifted across Antarctica, eventually heading towards the tumultuous waters of the Southern Ocean's Drake Passage. However, as the researchers took a closer look at the object, they began to notice certain anomalies that did not fit the iceberg hypothesis. For instance, there were skid marks and grooves on its surface that were difficult to account for. Additionally, it was not transparent like most icebergs, but rather bore a distinctive shade of black. Some speculated that it was a military craft, and while it may seem like a far-fetched conspiracy theory, it's not entirely impossible given the geopolitical history of the region. Governments and military agencies around the world have a long-standing tradition of conducting classified operations in remote locations away from prying eyes. And what better place to test out cutting-edge technologies than in the desolate and unforgiving expanse of Antarctica? Interestingly, on June 23, 1961, the world's most powerful nations came together to sign the Antarctic Treaty. This agreement stipulated that they would relinquish their right to establish a military presence in Antarctica unless it was for scientific research purposes. The United States was responsible for catalyzing the need for such an agreement following World War II, when they attempted to lay claim to the continent and conducted a military expeditionary force called High Jump. This move incited anger from other countries who accused the US of using Antarctica for military purposes. After much negotiation, 12 countries ultimately signed the treaty, including Australia, Argentina, Belgium, Chile, France, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, South Africa, the Soviet Union, the United Kingdom, and the United States. It could be argued that these countries would have used Antarctica as a place to test military technology with or without the treaty. As scientists began exploring other potential explanations for the moving object, they eventually concluded that it wasn't a mere meteorite. Meteorites are fragments that break off asteroids, which are small, rocky bodies that orbit the sun. A large number of asteroids can be found between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. However, given that Mars is close to Earth, asteroids occasionally collide with the planet. According to some reports, there was an asteroid that was supposed to hit the surface of Antarctica. However, it ended up exploding in the sky instead, resulting in what is now known as an airburst. This caused several fragments of space rock, known as shrapnel, to cover the surface below the explosion. It's important to note that airbursts are more destructive than regular asteroid crashes because they can affect a much larger area. Antarctica has not been explored by humans in the past 500,000 years, which means that the airbursts and meteorites from the asteroid were mostly undetected. If this theory holds up, it could be the first of many other discoveries in Antarctica. The strange color of the object was likely the result of a couple of factors. The asteroid that exploded over Antarctica was 150 meters wide, and when it exploded, it happened very close to the surface. This caused the nickel and magnesium-rich fragments to react with the Antarctic ice, resulting in the strange color of the meteorites. Scientists have settled on this theory for now, and they are considering that the reason it went undetected for so long was because of the ice that covered it. The strange markings on the object were due to its climate and the fact that it had stayed underwater for so long. Some people have expressed their doubts, but the most straightforward theory is often the most accurate. It's similar to how scientists once thought they had discovered a pyramid in Antarctica, only to find that it was actually a mountain worn down by thousands of years of erosion. The truth will eventually be established when enough research has been done. So, what are your thoughts about this weird object found in Antarctica? Share with us in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, show us some love by hitting that like button and leaving a comment down below. Also, if you're a fan of all things technology, be sure to check out this other video we've got lined up for you. It's packed with all the latest news, tips, and tricks to keep you ahead of the curve.